Hi, my name is Ishan. I'm a backend developer at Lisk. I'm going to talk about all the various features that we have added with the SDK 5.1 release. So basically talking about the application bootstrapping, dashboard plugin, and Faucet plugin, which is a web-based UI. And talking about Lisk Console Command, application testing, the utilities that we have added in 5.1 release. So first of all, talking about what 5.1 is aimed at. So it's mostly comprises with all the utilities for a developer to build something on top of Lisk SDK. So basically kicking start development with application bootstrapping, and to monitor its node, the developer can use dashboard plugin. For allocating funds, developer can use Faucet plugin. And also, we have added a lot of testing utilities for better code maintainability. In the end, also, we have given something on the CLI where you can run various functions which are exposed through Lisk client. So we'll go through each of them one by one. So starting with application bootstrapping. It's a bit of hassle when you start any blockchain application. There's so much of scaffolding or the skeleton that you have to add in the beginning. Similar to what git init or npm init does, we have similar commands which will just create the bootstrap your application or create the skeleton. And also, if you are familiar with UI development, there is a create React app that will just create the whole application for you, and which is runnable in the end. The same thing we have added with Lisk Commander. With some very small commands, you can just bootstrap your application and start adding stuff. So you can create config for your network. You can create Genesis block. You can generate a skeleton for the custom modules and plugins. For example, with Lisk init, all you need to do is write Lisk init on your command prompt, and it will just ask you a set of questions similar to what you see in npm init. You give your application name, description, author, license, and that's it. In the end, it will create the blockchain application with the folder structure, and it is runnable in the end. So once you have created your application, now you want to add specific logic to it. So like we saw in the SDK architecture, there's on-chain logic, there's off-chain logic. So on-chain logic you can add with the module, custom module. And what you can do is you can simply write list generate :module and give the module name an ID. ID has to be greater than 1,000. The first 1,000 are reserved for default modules. And once you have added this module, now you want to add asset. And to do that, you can simply write list generate asset and give the module name to which you want to add it, and then give the asset name and ID. In the similar way, you can also create plugin, which is taking care of your off-chain logic. And all you need to do is list generate plugin and the plugin name. So these commands will not only create the folder structure and add files in the source, but also it will create test files as well with the basic use cases. So this helps the developer in the end to focus on the logic, but not with the scaffolding and the bootstrapping. In a similar way, you can create Genesis block, and you can also see the progress, how much time it's going to take to create the Genesis block. And these commands come with some flags by which you can customize stuff. So for example, in this one, you can give the number of validators or hash onions with the distance you want. So there are plenty of commands which is coming from Lisk Commander. So you can simply install from npm and then just hit Lisk on your CLI, and it will list down all the commands that are available. Also, there are sub-commands within each command. So for example, if you write Lisk account, you will see that there are subcommands like list account :get, list account :create. So there are a vast range of commands which are available. It really helps the developer to have full control over their development while building something from Lisk SDK. Now, once the application is created, now the developer wants to monitor what is going on inside the node, how the logic is working out, and he wants to see various things happening with its custom module and plugin. To do that, usually you just check the logs on the console of your application, or you make HTTP calls, but the information is quite scattered. To simplify that, we have added this dashboard plugin, which basically gives an overview of all the things happening within a node. So it gives a crucial information about the node you're running, and it's a one-page view. So it shows you the recent blocks and transactions. You can generate account, you can get account, you can send transactions, you can call actions that are registered on the channel, you can subscribe to various events, and also you can get basic node and peer information. So similar to what Explorer does, you have this minimal Explorer functionality or UI, you can say. So you can see the recent blocks and transactions, also unconfirmed transactions. You can generate account, which comes very handy when you're testing in the network. You want to create several accounts. So just a button click, you can create an account, and it comes with copyable text, which is pretty handy when you're testing stuff. You can simply send different types of transactions. With the send transaction widget, all the transaction type that you have defined in custom module will be listed here. All you need to do is select that transaction type and give the passphrase to sign that transaction, give the asset that is required for that transaction type, and you just send it. So also, all the actions that you have registered or exposed through application, the default module actions, and also the actions that you have defined in custom modules or plugins, that will be listed here. And you can simply select one of them, give the param it needs, and you just submit. Also, you might not be interested in a lot of logs which are coming in your application console. You might want to just analyze various events. So for example, if a new block is created or if a new transaction comes in the network. So you can subscribe to these events, and you can observe them. You can get basic node information that has all the constants, for example, network identifier, and also what was the last block ID, and network version, etc. You can also get peer information, which will tell you how many connected peers, how many disconnected peers are there, and how many peers are banned at the moment. You can also get more peer information in detail by using action. You can just call get connected peers, and you can get more detailed information about any peer. So once you are analyzing, you analyzed your blockchain application, everything is working fine. Now you want to test it with your real users. So you want to set up a test network, and you want to send funds to some of the users so that they can start testing stuff. So with the Faucet plugin, it's a simple UI which can be configurable and a bit more generic so that you can also update the logo and the application name. And with this UI, you can simply add the address and send the tokens to your users. Now talking about Lisk Console, so there might be many scenarios where you want to run certain functions coming from the elements library. And for that, you don't have to go every time, create a JS file, TS file, and run it through the editor or something. So you can simply do everything on console. By using Lisk Console Command, you get inside the console of the Lisk commander, and then you can you have the access to different library functions. For example, here you have access to the list transaction library, and when you write transactions, you will see a bunch of functions there. And once you have the access to these library functions, you can simply call them. For example, if you want to see constants in cryptography, you write cryptography.constants. You see all the constants over there. You can also do some complicated stuff like having nested functions like cryptography.hash and get random bytes from it. So you can do all these things without getting outside of your terminal or your CLI, and you can run all these functions very easily. Last but not the least, application testing. So while developing these modules with the new architecture and plugins, so we were testing them out, and we created a lot of utilities and fixtures around it. So we thought maybe we should make it more generic, and that can be usable by the users or developers using Lisk SDK while developing any custom module or plugin. So basically, it exports block processing environment, the application environment, and various fixtures. And also, it gives the context for the lifecycle hooks for your custom module, which is a bit tricky to test. So it is quite beneficial for a developer to get kickstarted with testing as well. Just to give you an overview, so there is fixtures like your Genesis block, config, so for the testing purpose, mocks for your channel data access, or logger, etc. You can create blocks, transactions in Genesis block with simple functions, and you can get module instance, get all the account schema that is registered with each module. You can have application environment for your functional testing, and to have integration testing for your custom module, you have this get block processing environment. So these testing utilities ensure that in Lisk ecosystem, there are quality projects coming in, and they're bug-free or at least less error-prone. So with that, I will end my talk. So yeah, thank you very much.